Hello and welcome to the beautiful Helford Passage, although it's just started raining, but it's a lovely day. Helford Passage, the Ferry Boat Inn, end of a Friday. What could be better on a Friday afternoon than a pasty? But this is different. They're launching here at the pub today the world's first kimchi pasty. Now what is kimchi, you may ask? Let's find out. So we just come up here to the pub. And here we've got Pat from Eaten Alive.
Yeah,
Hello,
hello,
have to explain that, what that is, because that sounds a bit odd, doesn't it? And we've got Fergus as well from Anne's Pasties, and they've collaborated, as I said, on the world's first kimchi pasty.
That's right.
So Pat, tell us a bit about it.
Well, I'll tell you about kimchi first. So the reason we call it Eaten Alive is actually it's you that's doing the eating alive, and the products are made via a process of fermentation, similarly to how you make yogurt and cheese. But it's just vegetables, and all you do is just add some salt, and natural bacteria actually pick all the vegetables, and they intensify the flavours of them as well. And then that that kind of salad or mixture, whatever you want to call it, is then eaten, and the bacteria are still in it, just like live yogurt, and that's why it's called Eaten Alive. But when you cook it, some sort of even more magic happens, and it's really, really delicious. And we knew that it went very well in savoury pastries, and I ran into Ferg, and I'm such a big fan of Anne's Pasties that I just kind of had to start talking to him.
Yeah, because I said to you, didn't I, that I having had kimchi before, and that sort of sweet and spicy and soury sort of taste, I couldn't imagine it in pastry, but you say it actually works really well.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, like I said, particularly when it's cooked, it takes on a slightly kind of tomato saucy, sort of satisfying flavour, umami they call it.
Yeah.
And so just like I guess particularly if you pair it with cheese or it's a bit like having in some ways it's like having a pizza or a cheese toasty or something. Yeah, but then obviously you've got lovely. You just can't. There's no better. Let's face it. When it comes to savoury pastries, the pasty reigns supreme, doesn't it?
So Fergus, like good old Cornish boy.
Oh yeah,
Messing with a traditional pasty here.
Yeah.
So what did you think when they suggested this to you?
It was over a surf. So like the story started in the water in Bristol, and then Pat said, afterwards, do you fancy making a kimchi pasty? And obviously being a bit of a Cornish bumpkin, I had to quickly go off and Google that and see what I was actually going to agree to putting in a pasty.
Yeah.
And I did worry about being thrown out of Cornwall and things like that, but these are vegan, so I feel a bit of fair game. I haven't touched it with anywhere near the traditional.
That's true.
And when Pat came to make them with me in our kitchen, when they came out of the oven, they're actually fantastic. So I love the cheese one, and it's worked really, really well.
Yeah, can I try a bit?
Yeah.
This is the moment.
There's the cheese one.
This is the cheese one, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it looks beautiful. Looks absolutely stunning. This, right? I'm going in. What if I don't like it live on camera?
I'm back in
There
it.
you go. Wash it down with a bit.
Oh, that is good actually, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got that slight spiciness and there's a fruitiness to it as
Yeah,
well,
that's
isn't it?
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah. Oh, well done.
Yeah. Good collab, wasn't it?
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
very
it
good
is.
collab, yeah.
So where can people? So there's a cheese one here, and then there's the main one.
That's the
This one with
vegan one. So
vegan
that's
one.
kind of where the concept came from. We launched it as a veganuary special, but obviously we tried a few with cheese in because hungry surfers, want to pack the calories in, and actually the kimchi cheese combo is so good. So it's exciting to do something really interesting with a vegan option, but we couldn't really deny the cheese
lovely.
one. So
That's beautiful.
Describe exactly how it's tasting.
Right, describe exactly how. Well, it's got a tanginess to it. It's like a cheese pasty, really, isn't it? But with that extra tang, like you said, there's a slight sort of like tomato, that spicy
A bit of
tomato
heat.
ketchup
Yeah.
to it.
yeah, touch of chili in the background, maybe just kind of adding a little bit of warmth. Not that much chili that it's kind of burny in any way, but just that it kind of just.
As I'm going further in now, let's get it's that
just a
warmth
little
to it, isn't it? That little tingle. And, it's beautiful actually. Yeah, God, that works so much better than I was imagining it would. Yeah. Good. I don't have to diss it on camera now.
Well, I was surprised.
No, I know. Yeah. So tell me about Eaten Alive, the company then, because you and your partner are both worked as chefs.
Yeah,
haven't you?
so
'Cause you worked at Stein's, haven't you?
I have actually, yeah. So I worked at Stein's for quite a few years, and you know, we came from this very fine dining chef background, and the interesting thing about these products, I mentioned how the flavours are sort of deepened and intensified, like they are with cheese making and you know, other forms of fermentation. Sourdough bread's another good example where you get this complexity, and as a result, in gastronomic restaurants, there's quite a movement towards fermenting things.
Yeah.
And your man Rennie Rezepi at Noma has multiple kitchens in his development space that just do fermentation. He's written a whole book
it's
on
the
it.
big thing now.
So we kind of came at it a little bit from that angle, a little bit from an interest in food history, because this is the second oldest form of preservation after drying.
Is it?
Yeah, so just people would take their catch from the sea and literally just bury it with some seawater. In places where it was too wet, cold to dry things, they could just literally, you could dig a little hole, put your fish in it with some seawater, and that salt in the seawater would keep out the spoilage bacteria. And I mean, in the end, would not have been tasty, right? We're talking about prehistoric.
Well, yeah.
We're talking about prehistoric pickled fish here. It would have been pretty horrible to eat, but however, you know, what keeps you alive. But in Korea, kimchi is the national dish. Sauerkraut is another product of the same process, a European one. We do cucumbers and lots of chili sauce. Chilies, and the most traditional chili sauces are also fermented as well as one step in the process. So yeah, we kind of got into it from a food perspective. It's also very good for the stomach.
Yeah,
and
of course,
and
that
the
live
gut. So
culture and everything.
yeah, and we just, I guess we kind of fell into it from a real passion, and just like the flavours that come from fermentation, it kept unravelling as we kind of got deeper and deeper, and we really fell in love with the whole thing, and Eaten Alive was born, and yeah.
Good. And so the pasties are available online from Eaten Alive, but they're also going to be, well, they are available from Anne's pasty shops.
At the moment, if you want one, just ring us up the day before, and we'll make them up ready for you the next day. And then soon, you know, they're getting more and more popular in the shops, so you'll just be able to pick one up soon.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So it reminds us, because like Anne's pasties, you know, I can't say what my favourite pasty in Cornwall is, but my life wouldn't be worth living. But Anne's pasties are up there, aren't they?
Yeah,
They're definitely up there. People love an Anne's pasty from down on the Lizard. Tell us a bit about, briefly about the history of the company.
Oh, so basically, it was my grand's recipe from Porthleven, so it's a Porthleven family recipe. My gran went out to make pasties at the Lorient Festival in France. Got so busy that my mum and my auntie, great auntie had to go over and start helping. So that's when mum and gran started making pasties together. They came back to Helston and started on a stall in the Guild Hall. That got popular, so they went to Porthleven and opened up a shop. Mum then split and went to the Lizard because she had like me and my sister. So that's where Anne's pasties came. So that's what the Lizard side of it. And then I kind of took it on probably about 10 years ago. So then I went back to Porthleven, where the recipe's from. Got one in Helston, and then we've just moved the other one down to the Lizard Green, where you can now have a pasty and a pint. You know, we've got a bar in there as well, and in Porthleven. So yeah, we're just, but then also we're very, very conscious of, you know, food miles and our local area and how good we produce things around here. So everything within the pasty is within 10 miles of us. So it's from 3 local farms within 10 miles. The turnip and onions from Leedstown, the potatoes are from Anakin, St Kevin we get the beef, St Earth we get the beef, and that goes through Chris Dales in Helston. And we also get Cornish sea salt. We don't even pinch on the sea salt, so that's from the seas around here, and that's like a health benefit as well. So we're not just putting like table salt in the pasties. Yeah. So we're probably getting the ingredients, I would say, from all my families from years and years and years ago. We're buying from the same fields.
That's amazing.
As well as the pasty being in the Lizard Peninsula.
Yeah. Wow.
Lee, for anyone who's just joined, just remind people what you're actually tasting today.
So we're here at the Ferry Boat Inn and the Helford Passage, tasting a pasty, but not your normal pasty by any stretch of the imagination. This is a kimchi pasty, the great Korean sort of fermented, preserved sort of vegetables and all sorts of things, really, isn't it, that goes into it. In a pasty, and this is the cheese version.
Yeah, you've been chomping through the cheese one. Do you think you should maybe try the other,
I suppose
the other one as
I
well
should.
now? That's just yeah.
So this is the vegan one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is the difference between the two, apart from the cheese?
Just some cheddar cheese in that one.
So if you want to have a closer look, you can see. So what is the ingredients then?
So the kimchi itself, you use a soft cabbage called Chinese leaf or Napa cabbage, and then we mix that with some radish, carrot, ginger, garlic, spring onions. We put a little apple in there, which So and then some wood-aged soy sauce as well, which adds just a little bit more depth.
Well, that's actually quite different from the cheese variation, isn't it?
The cheese one kind of rounds the flavour off a bit, doesn't it? I mean,
That's got a hit. This
yeah,
one,
a bit
isn't
more
it?
punchy. Yeah.
Yeah, it has. There is a real spiciness and.
So describe that taste to us, who.
Oh, like Greg, I'm trying to.
Hungry.
You all need to buy one and find out what it's like, because that is a unique flavour, really, isn't it? It's hard to describe.
Yeah, it is.
It is like it's not like a veggie pasty. It's like a version of the veggie pasty, but it isn't.
Yeah.
And that spiciness, tanginess, heat.
Well, I'm pretty sure. I know that back in the day, the traditional ones come around, but I would have said Cornish people would have been putting whatever they've got grown at that seasonality into the pasty.
That's true.
And actually, at times, I think they were so poor. I think there's a pasty called the squab pasty, and I think it might just be turnip and onion. So at certain times there was just the
it's what you could get
cheapest.
your hands on.
Going in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think basically we probably wrap anything up and crimp it up. And
Don't say that.
Someone's asking if you deliver them to Gloucester.
yes, we do.
Will you deliver them all over?
On the Anne's, you should go through us, but on the Anne's website, you can order them nationwide, can't you? And you deliver them on an overnight service. You cook them off and.
Yeah, we deliver them. We cook them par baked, send them off. Next day you've got them, and you can pop them in your oven, finish them off, and they're fantastic.
And I tell you what, as well, I was saying about the flavour. There's a real underlying sweetness to it as well, isn't it? Which is what you said when you cook kimchi.
So
that sweetness, that umami.
That's
sort of
exactly
thing
it. Just like when you cook, a carrot or a tomato, and the flavour itself develops and sweetens. There's a chemical process going on there. Once you add the heat, because of the fermentation process. Which has already meant that some of that's already happened. When you add heat to it, it's like a magnifying glass. It just opens and evolves, and you get that just times 10 basically. And that's the depth and complexity that's hard to put your finger on.
Yeah, it is.
And the same thing with other forms of fermented food, which we all people hear that fermented food, that sounds a bit scary, but if you eat bread or chocolate or drink tea or all these foods that people get really excited about and develop cult status, a lot of them have been through the fermentation process, and that's because it creates these hard to put your finger on complex flavours.
Yeah, there was a lot. The more you get into it, there's more subtle flavour.
Yeah.
You've reinvented the pasty. What can I say?
Over a surf in Bristol. That's quite
that is good. Yeah. God. Well, you know where to get them now. Eaten Alive, Anne's Pasties, collaboration, kimchi, cheese and kimchi, and the vegan kimchi one as well. They are actually gorgeous. Thank God for that. I thought I was going to have to pretend and say I liked it when I didn't. But that is really nice. Really nice. I'm going to book some. I'm going to order some. Yeah,
Thank you very much.
beautiful.